Imagine a leader suddenly feeling betrayed on the world stage, streets erupting with anger, and a country teetering on the edge of chaos. That's exactly what's happening in Belarus as crowds ignite protests, and shocking reports suggest Putin may be abandoning Lukashenko at a critical moment. The political tension is palpable, the stakes higher than ever, and the global eyes are fixed on this unfolding crisis. Today, we dive deep into what's really happening, what it means for Belarus and Russia, and why this could reshape the balance of power in Eastern Europe. Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. If you've been following international politics, you already know that Belarus has been in the news for months, but the recent surge in protests and tensions with Russia has reached a whole new level. Citizens are flooding the streets, not just demanding change, but expressing outrage over what they see as betrayal from Moscow. President Alexander Lukashenko, often referred to as Europe's last dictator, has relied heavily on Russian support to maintain his grip on power. However, recent developments indicate cracks in this alliance, and the implications are massive. The exterior view of Belarus right now is one of unrest and tension. Cities that were once quiet now echo with chants and the clamor of protesters. People are holding signs, waving flags, and demanding accountability, while security forces attempt to manage the crowd. The visuals are striking: burning barricades, blocked streets, and a sense of urgency that has gripped everyday life. Belarusian cities, from Minsk to smaller towns, have become symbolic battlegrounds where the struggle for political survival plays out in real time. International media is reporting that this unrest is not just spontaneous anger, it's a reaction to perceived betrayal. Rumors of Moscow reconsidering its support for Lukashenko have intensified public frustration as citizens feel abandoned in their fight for democracy. Inside the political corridors, the interior dynamics are equally fascinating, albeit more subtle. Lukashenko's administration, once confident in its close ties with Russia, is facing an unprecedented dilemma. Reports suggest there have been high-level discussions between Moscow and Minsk, with Russian officials signaling a potential shift in strategy. These behind-the-scenes moves indicate that Belarus's reliance on Russian backing may no longer be guaranteed. In response, Lukashenko appears to be scrambling, balancing a narrative of strength for his domestic audience while trying to secure allies abroad. The interior of this crisis is short but intense. Private meetings, urgent communications, and rapid reassessments of policy are happening daily as the situation evolves. Performance in this context isn't about machinery or technology, but about political maneuvering and public reaction. Lukashenko's ability to maintain control is being tested like never before. On the one hand, he continues to leverage state media to project an image of authority and calm. On the other hand, the sheer scale of public dissent, coupled with possible changes in Russian support, makes governance increasingly challenging. Performance, in the political sense, now depends on how swiftly and effectively Lukashenko can respond to domestic unrest while navigating international pressures. Every decision, from how security forces are deployed to the tone of public statements, becomes a performance evaluated by millions, both inside and outside Belarus. Safety features, in this case, are the measures taken to protect both the state and its citizens amid the chaos. Security forces have stepped up patrols, instituted checkpoints, and imposed curfews in key areas to contain unrest. Meanwhile, Lukashenko's administration has been emphasizing loyalty among civil servants and military personnel, essentially reinforcing its internal safety network. For the citizens, however, safety has become a major concern as confrontations between protesters and security forces escalate. The challenge here is balancing order with civil liberties, and in the absence of clear guidance from Moscow, Belarusian authorities face heightened risks. Public gatherings, previously tolerated to some degree, now carry real dangers as tensions escalate. The country's safety features are being tested not just in logistics, but in their ability to maintain stability without provoking further outrage. One of the most intriguing aspects of this unfolding crisis is the unique selling points of Belarus in global politics and why its stability, or instability, matters. Belarus is geographically significant, sharing borders with NATO members and acting as a strategic ally for Russia in Eastern Europe. Its political alignment directly affects the balance of power in the region. Furthermore, Belarus serves as a key hub for trade, energy transit, and military positioning. The uniqueness of its geopolitical position makes this crisis more than a domestic issue. It's a scenario that has far-reaching implications for neighboring countries, European security, and global diplomacy. For Lukashenko, these unique selling points have been a source of leverage. But if Russia's support wavers, even these strategic advantages may not be enough to secure his hold on power. Price, in the context of this crisis, isn't measured in dollars, but in the cost of political and social stability. For Lukashenko, the price of losing Russian support could mean a rapid erosion of authority, potentially leading to international isolation or even internal overthrow. For citizens, the price has already been high. Months of economic strain, limited freedoms, and the looming threat of violent crackdowns. The economic consequences are already visible, with disruptions in trade and investor uncertainty affecting day-to-day life. For Moscow, the price of abandoning a long-time ally is also significant, as it risks losing influence in Eastern Europe and potentially facing criticism for turning its back on a partner during a moment of vulnerability. Every decision carries a tangible and intangible cost, creating a high-stakes environment where missteps can have lasting repercussions. The global reaction has been intense, with world leaders watching every development closely. Sanctions, diplomatic statements, and international media coverage amplify the pressure on both Belarus and Russia. Countries in Europe are assessing how this turmoil might affect regional security, migration, and economic stability. Analysts suggest that a weakened Belarusian government could create a power vacuum, inviting foreign intervention or exacerbating already tense relations with neighboring states. Meanwhile, Russia faces a dilemma: continue supporting an embattled ally at high cost or withdraw and potentially undermine its credibility. This geopolitical tug-of-war adds layers of complexity to a situation that already affects millions of people on the ground. Looking at the human element, the emotional and social impact of this crisis cannot be overstated. Citizens feel a mix of hope, fear, and anger as they navigate a rapidly changing political landscape. Families are making difficult decisions about safety, employment, and even relocation. The youth, in particular, are at the forefront of protests, driven by frustration and aspirations for a more open society. Social media amplifies these emotions, providing a platform for expression, but also for misinformation, which can fuel tension further. The human story behind these headlines is one of resilience, courage, and the stark reality of living under a government facing both internal and external pressures. Economic performance is another lens through which this crisis must be viewed. Belarus's economy has been heavily intertwined with Russia, and any shift in political support could ripple through industries ranging from manufacturing to energy. Trade disruptions, currency fluctuations, and investor uncertainty are already putting pressure on the economy. Ordinary citizens feel the impact in rising prices, limited access to goods, and potential job insecurity. The price of political instability, therefore, directly translates to economic hardship, making the stakes even higher for both the government and the public. Technology and communication also play a critical role. Protesters are leveraging digital platforms to organize and share information, while the government monitors and controls access to maintain order. This digital battlefield highlights the modern challenges of governance, where information flows are rapid, and public perception can shift in an instant. Security, control, and transparency intersect in ways that shape the course of the crisis, making technology both a tool and a challenge for those in power. The final consideration is the potential outcome and what this crisis teaches about leadership, loyalty, and the dynamics of international alliances. If Lukashenko manages to navigate the unrest and secure continued support, it will reinforce his authority, but may come at the cost of increased public resentment. If, however, Russian support diminishes or disappears, the consequences could be dramatic: loss of control, heightened protests, and a possible political realignment in Belarus. The unfolding events serve as a stark reminder of the delicate balance leaders must maintain between internal governance, public sentiment, and international alliances. In conclusion, the situation in Belarus is a multi-layered crisis, shaped by political betrayal, public unrest, and strategic recalculations on the international stage. From the fiery streets filled with protesters to the quiet halls of power where high-level discussions take place, every moment reflects the tension of a nation at a crossroads. The exterior chaos, interior strategies, performance in governance, safety measures, geopolitical significance, and the costs involved all combine to paint a vivid picture of a country facing unprecedented challenges. While the ultimate outcome remains uncertain, one thing is clear: the world is watching, and the repercussions of this crisis will be felt far beyond Belarus's borders. As the situation evolves, understanding the nuances and stakes involved is crucial, and staying informed is the best way to grasp the full impact of what may become one of the most defining political episodes in Eastern Europe in recent years.